So recently, your kid told you that they're colorblind and you didn't believe them. Look, I understand. I mean, their self-diagnosis doesn't make much sense, but I think a lot of that might be because of very common misconceptions about what exactly colorblindness is.
They can't have it. It's so rare. I don't know anyone who is colorblind.
Colorblindness is very common. You are certain to have a number of friends who are colorblind, but that maybe you didn't know about because colorblindness tends to be something that people don't talk about, and by itself, it's a rather invisible condition. So it's not that your son or daughter is trying to pretend to have some kind of rare disease. 10% of boys and almost 1% of girls are colorblind. So the odds are actually about as good as drawing an ace out of a deck of cards.
But I know they can actually see color.
Yeah, the name colorblindness doesn't make much sense. It's a terrible name because for the most part, almost everyone who is colorblind is able to see color. And for this reason, we generally prefer to call it color vision deficiency. There's a scale of severities of colorblindness, with the more severe scales of black and white vision being quite rare, and the more mild scales, which are almost the same as normal color vision, actually being quite common.
But nobody else in the family is colorblind.
So you may know that colorblindness is hereditary, meaning that it runs in the family. It is indeed uncommon for someone to be colorblind without it already being present in other members of the family. For boys, there is a 50% chance that their maternal grandfather, their mother's father, is also colorblind. For colorblind girls, it's generally the case that their father should also be colorblind to be able to pass that down. Now you might say, those men aren't colorblind. We don't have any colorblind at the families, to which I would cast some doubt. A lot of men are either ignorant of their condition or are in denial of their condition, and this includes my grandfather. My parents thought the same thing, that there was no color blindness in the family, and therefore I couldn't be colorblind, until I was, and then they found out that my maternal grandfather was himself also colorblind.
But they could just be faking it for the attention, right?
If your kid's a famous YouTuber, yeah, he might be making this up for attention. Otherwise, they probably really are colorblind. There are a number of tests online, probably one that your son or daughter took to find out they were colorblind, but these aren't necessarily diagnostics. They're more like screening tools. Importantly for you to this question, they can indeed easily be faked. So, in order to be sure, I would recommend going to an ophthalmologist with them and taking a test that has built-in fail-safes such that the doctor can know if someone is intentionally trying to fail the exam. If the exam does show they're colorblind, it will also show what kind of color blindness they have, whether it's protan, deutan, or tritan effects, as well as the severity of that color blindness. And both of these things can be important going forward. So with this, I hope we're getting on the same page here, and that you are starting to think that maybe your kid could be colorblind. Even then, you can always go to a doctor and really find out for sure. But at this point in the video, I want to look at some of the ways that you can support them going forward. First, don't be disappointed in them. Colorblindness is genetic, which means it's hard-coded into their body and into their brain. A tiger can't change its stripes, just like your kid cannot help but see those tiger stripes as green. It's not a behavioral problem. Your kid is not doing this to act out. Your kid is not doing this because they're lazy. You can't train your kid out of colorblindness, and no amount of practice is going to be able to get your kid to pass a colorblind test or to be able to correctly identify colors. Second, don't ignore it. Colorblindness will not go away just because you ignore it. They have colorblindness for life. Colorblindness lies in the chemistry of the eyes, and there is no cure for it. No naturopathy or acupuncture or traditional Chinese medicine is going to help them be less colorblind. And so the best way to deal with it is to accommodate it. Help them buy their clothes. Let them pick their color first in a board game, and maybe try to understand what colors that they often have trouble with, such that you can work around it. Third, prevent the big surprises. For the most part, your kid probably knows how color blindness affects them from day to day. And there's going to be some small disappointments, like chemistry class is going to be a pain, or they might end up eating a green banana and have a nasty taste in their mouth. But for the most part, that's life. The only thing you should be paying attention to is their career path. For me, I had my hopes dashed of being a graphic designer when I was 13, and 4 years later, when I wanted to be a video editor, I realized colorblindness might also make that a non-starter. Very little is more depressing than aspiring to be a police officer for 15 years, only to be sidelined from that career path at 21 due to a colorblindness test. There are many careers that your kid won't have access to because of their colorblindness, but overall, those careers make up less than 10% of what's available to them. And you might be relieved to hear that most of the jobs that parents want their kids to have, such as law, engineering, or most kinds of medicine, are completely available to colorblind people. Fourth, consider maybe getting them color corrective glasses. Now, you may have seen videos of people trying on special glasses and being cured of their color blindness and being absolutely overcome with emotion. Don't be fooled. While color corrective glasses like Enchroma glasses or color light glasses do work to a degree, they're considered more of a novelty than they are a cure. The wearer will indeed see a perspective that is different from their standard color vision, and there is a small chance that they will actually be able to increase their scores on Ishihara tests or other colorblind tests. But this new perspective is definitely not the same as normal sighted people see. Look, feel free to give your kid a cool experience, because that's generally what it is, but don't expect it to be life-changing. In fact, about half of people who try on these glasses recognize almost no change. If you still want to go through with it, just be absolutely sure before you do that you know what kind of color blindness they have and what severity of color blindness they have, because that can influence what type of glasses are most appropriate for them. You don't want to buy them glasses ranging between $200 and $500 only to find that they do nothing for them because it's the wrong type of glasses. And finally, don't hold it against them if it's a mediocre experience and they don't exactly give you the emotions that you were hoping for. That's it. CBD is really not that big of a deal. Good luck talking with your kid.